And hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez, and this is RT America. According to the United Nations Children's Agency, 7 million children in Yemen face the serious threat of famine. 7 million children who could die if this war in Yemen doesn't come to an end. Yemen is the poorest nation in the Arabian Peninsula. In 1990s, a group you may have heard of called the Houthis began a resistance against the Yemeni government. It wasn't that big of a resistance at the time until the Arab Spring. You see, after the Arab Spring, that's when they became more powerful and were eventually even able to oust their country's president. This is a man named Mansour Hadi. Mansour Hadi, remember the name. Hadi didn't leave quietly. No. He instead went across the border to Saudi Arabia and said, hey guys, I need your help. And boy, did they help. March 2015, the Saudi-led coalition started its military intervention with the United States providing aerial fueling, targeting intelligence, and, as we now know, weapons. The rest of the story, as it's finally now broken into the headlines in the Western media this week, is one of disaster, with 147 children dying every single day. Children dying every single day because of these attacks. We've been bringing you the details of this Saudi Arabian public relations nightmare for a month now here on RT America. And in the last week, it's obviously intensified as more details have unraveled. Many of them you've learned about here first on this newscast. Well, tonight, we're going to drill down further on this, because what we want to do is maybe get a better understanding and help us all achieve together a better understanding of what's actually happening in Yemen. There are questions tonight regarding and whether the U.S. call for a ceasefire in Yemen could actually, at least in the short term, think about this, in the short term, have negative repercussions. Sounds ironic, right? I mean, if we're trying to stop the war, why would it get worse? Well, think of it this way. If both sides know, like in a sports game, in a game in sports or something, if both sides know that the clock is running out, are they going to become more aggressive, more violent, more apt to want to go for the big score before nobody lets them? Well, it boils down to both sides in a conflict wanting some leverage as they go into these possible negotiations. All right, Houthi rebels are concerned the Saudi coalition might soon launch a new attack on the country, with reports that 10,000 or so troops are moving toward a port that they're trying to secure. These are Saudi troops. It follows a long tradition among military leaders that approaching peace talks are an opportunity to gain territory or advantages to trade off later. And then there's the question of desperation on the part of the Saudis, who may be going a power struggle of their own right now. Listen to what former Pentagon official Michael Malouf told me yesterday. You may have seen this, but I want you to hear it again. Listen to what Michael Malouf told me yesterday in a conversation we had right here about what could possibly be happening to the Saudi leader.
This is going to get dirty, and I think what they're hoping for is that the U.S. and Britain and the other Western powers support somebody who will carry that out. Now, we may be a little premature in saying that it's going to happen, but things are happening.
Stop. You just used some words that got my interest. Carry that out. Mm-hmm. Carry that out are usually used by military people when they're talking about a hit.
Well,
what did you mean?
Basically that.
Really? You think this guy could be taken out?
Yes, internally, I think it's conceivable, because MBS has upset so many members of the royal family. He's made tremendous enemies from within, and it's just a question of time.
There's so much to ask, so much to wonder about with this story, and I think the best person to ask is Max Blumenthal. He's an investigative journalist, and he's joining us now here as also an author, by the way, I should mention. So, Max, did you hear what Michael Malouf said there? That the fact that they're asking the brother of the king to go back there, and that the U.S. and the Brits may be actually securing his detail. Do you think we're getting ready for a power struggle that will lead to the end of the Crown Prince's rule?
Yeah, I think Malouf is right. that the U.S., and they're openly saying it, I mean, he's right that the U.S. would like to remove him, or at least elements within the national security architecture. We saw Susan Rice, the former national security advisor to Obama, call for removing bin Salman simply because he's embarrassing us. Lindsey Graham from the Armed Services Committee said the same thing. Basically, you have a situation where the Mafia Don has sent his wise guy out to make a hit, and the wise guy winds up taking a bone saw to the victim and throwing him in front of the police station.
Oh my God.
And the Mafia Don saying, "You're embarrassing me."
I've never heard it quite put that way, but I think it could not be more descriptive than the way you just put it. But here's the question.
This is mafia stuff.
In finality, can he be taken out? Do you think it's possible that they would like remove him?
He's deepened his control over the intelligence services, over Saudi's PR game. He is more in control than ever before, and I think we'll see Mohammed bin Salman pivot east to China and Russia and other alliances before the U.S. and the U.K. can take him out.
Wow. Can you do something for us?
I
Stand
can.
up. Walk with me. I want to show you something. It's this map we've put together that kind of creates a picture of what's going on right now in Yemen. And as you can see, we have the different factions laid out with our key here, but let's you and I start on, you see those black lines, and you see that oil field right there, and the fact that they all lead out either into the Gulf or into the Strait. What is the significance of that when it comes to this war in Yemen? Put that together for us.
Those are oil pipelines, and then you also have Bab al-Mandeb right here between the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, where anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 barrels of oil flow through, so it's a strategic shipping lane. Saudi Arabia does not want the Houthis, who we'll talk about in a minute, to control that area. But more importantly, Saudi Arabia is in a financial crisis, and they would like to access the untapped resources of gas and oil that are massive in Yemen and exploit Yemen, and that's one of the reasons why they're in this fight.
That's fascinating. Now, let's break this down for the folks who have tried to keep score, but it's kind of difficult. So essentially, this cream area you see here are the Houthis. They're, for lack of a better description, they would be like the rebels. They're the anti-government faction in all of this. And then you have the blue down here. You see that royal blue down there? That royal blue, that's Al-Qaeda, as it's being described to us. And then that green area, the light green, not the dark green, but that light green area right there, that's what they call the Houthi government, but essentially is what's left, or the representatives of the government that was there, that the Saudis would like to see back in control, correct?
Yes, correct. And, that Cappuccino area is controlled by the Houthis, as you mentioned, who represent the Zaidi branch of Shia Islam, which Saudi Arabia sees as connected to Iran and an existential threat. They don't want them there. They are maintaining an independent government that's fairly stable in the traditional capital of Yemen. So they are a real government. And then you have the Saudi puppet government, whose leader, Mansour Hadi, is in exile, overlapping. You can see them overlapping with Al-Qaeda here, which really is 1,000 different militias, and often relying on Al-Qaeda-related militias to fight the Houthis, particularly around the port of Hodeidah.
A lot of people, at least the corporate media, the Western media, the establishment media, whatever you want to call it, tend to tell us that this is a proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and that Iran is pulling for the guys there in the cappuccino color, as you say. Is that true?
It's not, and to the extent that they talk about it at all, MSNBC ignored this conflict for 2 years, as FAIR showed. But now that they're talking about it, what they need to point out is that the Houthis have been winning for 2 reasons. One is that they actually recommandeered billions of dollars of weapons the U.S. supplied the deposed and dead dictator Saleh, and worked alongside the Yemeni army, which was formerly supplied by the U.S., not Iran. Iran's supplying some political and media support, but not the weapons that our government and the Saudis claim. So the idea of a proxy war is false. The Houthis are an indigenous, nationalistic resistance force that is fighting against a puppet government that poses an existential threat to them.
I'll tell you what, Max Blumenthal, what a pleasure to have you. You're so knowledgeable on this topic and are able to take us through it, and especially being able at this point in time in our history to make us understand something that for most Americans is extremely complex. Thank you, my friend.
Well, understanding might be the key to ending this war, so thanks a lot.
That's a good thing to say, and I'm glad you're on it.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.